Another modern day book adaptation coming to the big screen. Well, actually, the small screen, because you know why. Today I'm going to be talking about the science fiction fantasy film Artemis Fowl. Artemis Fowl is the Disney Plus exclusive, was supposed to be released in theaters but didn't. And it's directed by Kenneth Branagh, you know, the guy that directed Thor. He starred in the second Harry Potter film. He was in Dunkirk. And he's given us some quality content. It's also scored by the great composer Patrick Doyle. The music in this film is super uplifting and it's catchy and just, I'm a sucker for great orchestral stuff, guys. The film stars Ferdia Shaw, who plays Artemis Fowl, our lead character. Also supporting cast, Colin Farrell, Josh Gad, Dame Judi Dench, and they're all decent characters in this film. I mean, don't get me wrong, some definitely stand out more than others, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. If I could crush this hour-and-a-half movie into a quick summary for you guys. Boy named Artemis Fowl lives with his dad. He's super smart, way smarter than anyone he's in school with, and he knows it. His dad lives a sketchy life that he doesn't know fully about, and he taught his son all about all these cool myths, fairies, goblins, dwarves, all this cool stuff actually. And pretty soon the kid finds out it's real. All this stuff is based off of Irish folklore, and soon enough his dad goes missing and he finds out that this world of fairies and mythical creatures are the people who kidnapped his dad. So basically the mission of this movie is to get his dad back. So we have a solid director, composer, and cast. What could go wrong? A decent amount of stuff, so let's just get into it. We'll just get all the negative stuff out of the way first. So the story is convoluted as hell. It feels like there's stuff missing, and there is wonky CGI at times. I mean, it is only $100 million. It's crazy to say only $100 million like it's nothing, but it doesn't have the budget of some of these $250, $300 million movies. This isn't even a negative, it's just weird. There's one guy as a centaur and you hear him go like, "Nurr." Like it sounded like a person making a horse sound. I mean, a little gripe, but why? The stakes weren't really too high in this film. I mean, it's very simplistic, and as far as the length, the runtime being an hour and a half, it's supposed to be a book adaptation from like 8 fantasy novels, I believe. Like, come on, at least make this film 2 hours. That would have given you more time to flesh out these characters and also make some of the characters more likable. I loved Josh Gad. Dame Judi Dench was good. She was functional. The kid who plays Artemis Fowl and Colin Farrell, they were just like, okay. At the end of the film, it says like, my name is Artemis Fowl and I'm a criminal mastermind. When? Like, this whole movie, like, you didn't really do anything to earn that title. I mean, maybe like the smallest, teeniest, tiniest smidge of some hint of that, but how? Maybe I was watching a different movie. So the stuff that I did like, the tech and the world that these fairies live in is really cool. It's neat to see them with all their like militaristic tactics when they're going in, swooping in, taking stuff out of the real world and making things right. The humor was funny too. I mean, Artemis and his dad have a butler, even though he doesn't like to be called a butler. But there's a scene where they're doing recon and he's disguised with this camo on, but he's still wearing his butler suit underneath the camo. Like, I just thought the little stuff they did in this film was great. Again, Josh Gad was my favorite. He's a dwarf, but he plays like a tall dwarf, so basically like Keely from The Hobbit. And he definitely is a different dwarf than we've seen. He's more goofy and cartoony. He can expand his mouth. Not the best CGI. But he can expand his mouth and basically munch dirt, and that's how he burrows through tunnels and stuff like that. His beard comes to life and he uses it to like lockpick. It's goofy, but I mean, you see how this movie is, so you're expecting goofy level stuff. This has definitely got a Percy Jackson vibe for me. I will tell you guys, I did not read these books. I remember seeing it as a kid and being like, what the hell is this great value Harry Potter? Like, I don't get this. So maybe that's why I enjoyed it slightly more than some. I wouldn't even say I enjoyed it, but I didn't think it was a terrible film. But unfortunately for Disney, I do not think there's going to be a sequel, man. I mean, the budget, I believe, was like 100 to 125 million, and it went direct to streaming service. I mean, maybe next month if movie theaters open up, like they can throw it in some drive-thrus or something like that for cheap, but yeah, it ain't looking good, guys. Going back to the main thing we were talking about with Artemis Fowl himself, I wasn't sold on his character. Like, there's little things here and there that make me like him. He's supposed to be a dick. He's supposed to be a smartass. I get it. Kind of like Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man if he was a little kid. It was scratching at the surface of being a likable character, but in the end, it never got to that point. Artemis has this sort of blossoming friendship, maybe hint at romance with a girl named Holly, and you can even see it with their characters. Like, something was supposed to be there. Something to advance their character progression was supposed to happen because they definitely felt differently towards each other by the end of the film, but it was just missing. I'm at a loss for words, guys. I mean, it's entertaining. It's fun at times. It hurts your head at times. It's exhausting at times. But it's still worth a watch. Don't pay for this. Please don't pay for this. I'm not telling you to do that. If you do pay for it, hopefully it's at a drive-in theater where you can at least finally get back to seeing movies in theaters. Hopefully it's just one more month, guys, and Tenet will resurge this whole movie-going experience. I would love to see another film to see how they can step it up, but again, it's probably not going to happen. So, in the end, Artemis Fowl, for me, gets a 5.5 out of 10.